she's pissed is stupid. If you're gonna get pissed at anything, get pissed at the things that you did wrong and own them and change.
Yeah.
You know?
Too many people find it difficult, just men and women, but because we deal with men, we'll say too
Yeah.
many men are afraid to listen to the voice in the head and actually stand up to it,
Right.
right? We hear it, we apply our own self doubt and our own insecurity to the
Yeah.
person across from us. We get
Yeah.
angry. We say, "I'm out. I'm not dealing with this disrespect." Well, what have you done? Number one, to earn respect. That's the number one thing you got to ask yourself. Number
Yeah.
two, what have you done for the insecurity that makes you scream disrespect?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What is it that what is it that her words, her actions, her whatever, you call it gaslighting if that's what you want to call it based on that video. Um, what is it about that situation from her or those words, actions, whatever, that made you say, I'm being disrespected? That made you say,
Right.
oh, that's too real. That's too real for me. I can't deal
Yeah.
with that. So I'm just gonna take the masculine route of I'm not gonna be disrespected by my woman or any woman
Yeah.
or any man or anybody. You can't disrespect me. Nobody's disrespecting you. People are in their space reacting the way they're going to react based on their perception of reality,
Mm-hmm.
and you're doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And if your
Yeah.
perception of reality constantly has you walking away from people because of their disrespect, maybe you got to look at the common denominator.
There's a pattern there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So,
And then on the other end of that, like you do have there are some relationships that are extremely toxic, right? Where there are women out there that are extremely toxic that are terrible women. I mean, they got to do their own work. And so,
yeah.
but if you allow it, you don't hold true to your integrity and respectfully walk through it with her, you're going to find yourself exactly in the same place that all these other guys are in that created it for themselves. I mean, because again, you have to own your truth in it, and in owning your truth, you can walk through it and go, okay, is this a relationship I should be in? Why did I place myself here? And how am I going to carry myself through it? Because again, you compromise.
Yeah. Yeah. And in a in an effort well, to have the ability to have that conversation with yourself, man, you have to be able to look in the mirror. You have to be
Yes.
able to, what is this? What does that say about me? What am I telling myself based on this interaction?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you go through the process. When have I told myself this before? When
Yeah.
has somebody else done something that made me feel this same way? And you
Right.
begin to see a pattern, right? You begin to put the dots together. Oh my gosh, this is a
Yeah.
narrative that's been going through my head my entire life.
Yeah. Yeah. And most of the time, we allow ourselves in those situations because, again, like you said, there's that narrative that's been playing throughout our entire life. And so we end up putting ourselves in the situation because, well, that's all we deserve, right? That's all I'm worth or whatever. And
Yeah.
that's not even true. It's the narrative that we tell ourselves. I mean, and I think a big problem too with men in today's society is that one, we suck it up and take it ourselves and just roll through it. And then the other one is the fact that, you know, we're so offended by everything anymore that we refuse to be offended by ourselves. We refuse to self-reflect and go, okay, a few minutes ago, I know I upset my wife. Why did I do that? What did I do? How did I do that? and how can I do it different? And now in this moment, how can I make it right? Like we don't do that. We just roll on, and that's a big problem because if you look back at masculinity, back in the 50s, yeah, they were tough guys, but they also some of those guys navigated their stuff well because they took care of it was chivalry back then, right? You take care of the woman that you're responsible for, so
Yeah, yeah,
as a man, you have a home. You take care of that. You cherish that woman, and our society forgets that, and we're too busy looking at ourselves in the mirror, thinking how pretty we are, instead of looking at ourselves in the mirror, going, "Shit, I got stuff I gotta fix."
yeah.
you know?
Well, and too many men for too long have not stepped up to the responsibilities. Women are
Yeah,
tired of it, right? And
yeah,
and let's face it, when it comes to being able to navigate the masculine and feminine side, women are so much better at it than we are, right? That's
yeah,
why that's why they excel more. They excel in academics better. They excel in the business world today better, right?
yeah.
It's not that feminism is not the problem, right? It is
Right.
not the problem. Feminism is a necessity in today's day and age because too many men have lived in a patriarchy
Yeah,
and men have gotten soft and weak and egotistical
yeah.
and
To where it becomes toxic
toxic, yeah.
as masculinity.
And we can, we can say all the negative things, but when I deal with a man one on one and I see these traits, it's we have to understand that toxicity that displays as toxicity to the outside world is really
Right.
just a survival method that he has been
Yeah,
using to survive thus far. And
yeah,
so if it has kept him safe emotionally until now,
yeah.
how does he know to even look back? How does he know to dive
Right.
in? How does he know to listen to this narrative? You know,
Hmm.
it has kept him alive and surviving for
Yeah.
so long that it's just become a part of who he is. the
Right.
The reality is it's a broken existence. It's like a half life that he's living. He's
Yeah.
existing, living and breathing and doing things, and he maybe very successful in business or may have a lot of friends or whatever. But there's a part of him that is just disconnected from reality, disconnected from
Hmm.
having a true experience with somebody, and disconnected from his spirit. Right, this
Yeah.
spiritual connection that connects all people.
Yeah.
But because of that disconnection, he's alienating, you know,
Yeah.
people from him. And as a society, if we're looking in generality, we're just talking about generalities, that's what's happened. That's why a lot of men, too many men, say that feminism is the problem. Well, no, it's not the problem. The problem is the fact that we have denied the creativity and intelligence and ability to do for themselves. We've denied this from women for so long that women are just saying, I'm fed up with it. And
Yeah.
as a Christian, when I look in the Bible at the times, like, I mean, there are books, Ruth and Esther, that are written about women.
Yeah.
If you look at the Bible, when those women were judges and prophets, it's because the men were too weak to step up and do anything. And women had to.
Yeah.
They were
Exactly.
forced into it. So I mean, this demon of feminism that we have today, it was created by the men who were screaming,
Yeah.
"That's the problem." So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I love the fact that my fiance is able to work in a man's world and be very successful at what she does, and she's able to balance the her feminine and masculine in a way that gives her a satisfaction and a fullness in life, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't diminish me at all. doesn't diminish who I am.
Right.
There's no
Yeah.
intimidation factor. The fact that she can go sell a house and make $10,000, and I've got to sift through 100 different DM messages on Instagram to get one client to pay $300 a month. But
Right.
it's aggravating in because of the time that it takes, that, but it doesn't diminish who I am as a man, because I know that what I'm doing is
Right.
purposeful, and I know that I'm living by my core values, and I know that I am who I am, and I'm okay
Yeah.
with who I am, and I've made peace with that. So there's not a woman who can diminish who I am and what I do based
Right.
on how successful she is. That's not a problem for me.
Yeah.
And you know, just like there's not another person who can tell me that this shirt looks stupid on me, and then I'm gonna cower in the corner and think, "Oh my God, they don't like my shirt. Oh, it's just, I must not be man. I must not be man enough." It those are just words and
Yeah.
opinions, and everybody's
Yep.
entitled to them. So
Yeah.
you people may not like what I say. That's okay. They don't have
Yeah.
to like what I say. There's a
Right.
there's a billion different combinations of words that you can put together to make any statement you want, and it doesn't change the other person's another person's reality, because you combined words in a way that expressed how you felt. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Exactly. Well, that's like that. That's like that circle that you see. That you have the circle and it says in my control. And then in there you put like my responses, my self awareness, my thinking patterns. How I treat people, my beliefs, my world. My self talk. Those are the things I can control. And then on the outside of that circle is everything that's out of my control. Other people's opinions, the past, the future. I mean, other people's actions. I mean, all that stuff is outside of there. And so, yeah, I think what you're saying is spot on with that image. Like we can control all of those things on the inside, and when we control those and we master that domain, we can walk out in life and be unstoppable, essentially.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and unstoppable, not just like, oh, I'll mow everybody over. Unstoppable in a way of you can lead, you can navigate, you can guide, you can shepherd, you can direct. You can do all of those things in a way that t- this is going to blow people's mind, but balances with the feminine, that gives the feminine that your wife needs, that gives those aspects. I mean, I got some little girls at the house. They don't need me to be a big macho man all the time. They need me to hold them for a minute, let them cry, like talk with them for a second. If I bark at them all the time and I treat them like a man, what's that going to do for them? You know?
it's gonna teach them not to trust a man, and
Exactly.
that's exactly why we have this, as men, we have this narrative in our head, because when we needed somebody to hold us and let us cry,
Yeah.
they told us to suck it up and keep going. Boys don't cry,
Right.
men don't cry.
Yeah.
And so we learned not to trust how we feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where that alpha male mentality has come from. The lone wolf, I'm going to do it on my own. Well,
Yeah.
essentially what they've done, that mentality is based on the survival method of isolating themselves from the world so they don't have to feel the feelings of attachment.
Right.
They
Yeah.
they they get to focus on the things that they were taught give a man his value, which is how much does he earn, what does he look like, how does he dress, you know, what goals is he accomplishing, how many ice baths did he take today, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Not to, the ice plunge is very beneficial for your nervous system and for your anxieties and psychology. It has a whole bunch of neurological benefits and physiological benefits,
Yeah.
but to say that the only way to become a man is to build this routine and have start your day with an ice cold shower and end the day with an ice plunge, and then you know go to be in bed by 9 o'clock and be up in the morning at 4 a.m. every morning and hit the gym first thing, and you know take these vitamins and take these supplements and eat this diet and read these books and talk like Jocko. I love Jocko,
Yeah.
but but all of that stuff is just stuff. And if you don't understand why you do the things you do, or why some of those things are hard for you to do, like what is
Yeah.
the trauma that keeps me from being able to build a successful schedule around my day, right?
Right. Yeah.
Why do I have a hard time picking the right foods I need to eat in order to be healthy, right? And that
Right.
one hits close to home for me. Well, so does the scheduling thing. I was diagnosed with ADHD at 42 years old. You know, I went until
Yeah.
I was 42 years old thinking that I had a problem with laziness, when really what I had a problem with was focus, a
Yeah.
legitimate
Yeah.
neurodivergent problem with focus. I got on some medication. Now my calendar looks like a freaking uh, celebration. I mean, it's got all kinds of different colors
Yeah.
and things patched in. Like, I schedule everything on my calendar, and I do it
Yeah.
because I don't want to miss anything. Right? I got a lot
Yeah.
of moving parts, and I got a lot of people that I'm talking to, and things that I'm trying to get done. But in the past, it would have just all imploded on
Yeah.
on me because I was unable to make a schedule. And then I'd feel
Yeah.
bad about it, and I'd go eat. I'd go to the store and get a whole box of honey buns, and eat half the box in the parking lot before I left the parking lot, because I needed the dopamine in
Yeah.
order to feel good. And it didn't.
Yeah.
It worked for a minute, because then I felt guilty for eating the food, and I'm like, I just sabotaged my diet.
Yeah.
But
Well, and that's the thing. Trauma informs a response, whether it's a positive or a negative. You know, and when we can tap into that and realize that, it changes the ball game, because there's things, and it could be, it doesn't have to be this major traumatic event that took place in your life, but it could have been something that somebody who you were close to said that hit you a certain way, and from then on it changed the way your brain thinks about things. And so instead of going, like, confronting that with whatever, when it happens, you avoid it, because that's what your brain wants to do now, because that caused me pain, I don't want to go there, so I avoid it. And so realizing that there are things in our lives that have caused that, and caused our brain to go into protective mode for certain things, and so there's a protector there. And so, just like when arguments happen, and all of a sudden you feel attacked about something, and so then you get angry. Well, why are you really angry? Are you angry because what's being said is actually true and you don't want to admit that, so you're freaking out on the inside, so now you go to anger to avoid having to deal with it? I mean, that those kinds of things, when we learn what those are, and we walk through those, it helps us master our domain as men, because
yeah,
then we can handle conflict, we can handle the arguments, and they don't have to be arguments. It can be disagreements.
yeah. Well, when we make decisions and we make choices based on our core values, that are
Yeah.
in line with our core values and our purpose, they're not emotional decisions. They're just decisions that are, and they don't have to be
Yeah.
emotional, right? We don't
Yeah.
have to we don't have to yell at somebody over that decision. We don't have to make it anything dramatic. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do
you
that
know
because that's not in line with who I am.
that's what's interesting. I'm smiling because in ministry we're kind of taught this anyway. I mean, especially if you have a decent pastor you worked with, when coming up in it. These are our core values as a church. This is what we're about. And if it does not fit this, that's great. You want to do a ladies' bingo night, but if it doesn't fit this, we're not going to do it. We're not going to entertain it. But if we can have it fit these things, then we would gladly do it. And so, you filter everything through those core values. And I think that's huge. Like, you've been saying for men, because it's that filter. It's that filter that everything can run through, and then you can make an informed decision instead of a reaction. It's an informed decision. It's an informed response based upon, these are the things that I hold dear.
Yeah.
And if it's in line with this, great. If it's not, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to pass on that. You know?
Yeah. It's my number one core value that I am a man who provides physical, financial, emotional, and spiritual safety to my family. Right.
Mm,
So if I react emotionally in a hurtful way to someone in
yeah,
my family, then I am out of integrity with who I say I am.
yeah,
So by virtue of my core values, it is my
yeah,
responsibility and my very existence that I pause when I feel the emotions rise up
yeah.
and I allow myself to respond in a manner that is not harmful to them. In the same
Right.
respect, because my family includes me, I have to hold that inner monologue, that shadow voice, accountable
Yeah.
to that core value, right? No, I'm
Yep.
not going to listen to this voice in my head that says that I'm lazy and fat and I'm not going to succeed in this diet, or I'm not going to have this workout today, or I'm not going to help this man on the phone today, or I'm not going to do this. I'm not.
Yeah.
No, no, that voice is a lie. That
Yeah.
voice helped me survive pain that I didn't know how to deal with. But now that I
Yeah.
know what that voice is and I can name it, I have power over it. And it is,
Yeah.
by my own admission, it is a part of who I am to actually confront that voice and change it.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. You know, I mean, and I think when you can get men to realize that every single man, and honestly every human being, but everybody deals with that inner dialogue, and teach them and give them the tools to combat it, there's power there. You know, I mean, shoot, man, I had that inner dialogue this morning, you know, just with coaching and clients and things like that. You know, it was like, man, you were supposed to get X amount right off the bat. You know, like that's what you were sold, and here you are. You've got like 20 something people in your inbox, and not one dang sale, dude. Like this is not gonna go. This isn't gonna work. You know, and I had to remind myself, no, that's not the truth, because I know that I'm called to do this. I've experienced the opposition leading up to this, which I know what the opposition means. That if I step into this and when I succeed,
Yeah.
it's going to be a
Yeah.
force to be reckoned with, you know? And so, like, I had to talk myself through that. Like, don't listen to that crap. That's not the truth. You know exactly what you're doing right here. You know exactly what you're doing right now. And yeah, you had 20 opportunities right now that are not where you want them to be. However, you've also had 8 conversations with men where they left with a little bit of perspective and a little bit of hope in one way or another, you know, and they heard about Jesus at some point. So you're doing all right, you know, like that's okay. You're making a difference, and eventually God will bless it, you know? So,
Yeah. Well, that's when you ask yourself, is my purpose to help men change their lives, or is it to make money helping men change their lives, right? The
right.
purpose is the lives changed.
Yeah.
The money will come. And
Yeah.
I think that I think that you're on to some good things here, and I think if you keep following it, you're gonna see it fall in line, you know.
Hmm.
And I mean, that's I had to tell myself that, right? I, over and over again. The opposition was there. The
Yeah.
temptations to be distracted were there, but I kept
Or
pushing.
just give up.
Yeah, or just
You
give up.
know?
Yeah, let me just go get a job. I can do
Yeah.
that. I can work a 9 to 5. I can do that. But all the while, I'm going to have this purpose, right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
When once you have your core values and you can live by them, and you start to do this
Yeah.
emotional healing, then the spiritual side, right? The side that connects us to our purpose, which connects us to the people, all the people,
Yeah.
right? The whole
Yeah.
that when we can tap into that spiritual domain and we can understand that how that spiritual domain affects our emotional domain, and then we're connected to all of the people because it's that
Yeah.
spiritual domain that connects all the people.
Right.
And then we realize we have fewer and fewer enemies. There's
Yeah.
not as many enemies as we thought. That
Yeah.
matter of fact,
Yeah.
the enemy sits right here.
Right.
Right?
Between your ears.
Yeah. Yep. The enemy sits right there. And you know that I believe that's what the Bible means when it says our fight is not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities of the air. What floats on the
Yeah.
air? Thoughts,
Yeah. Exactly.
thoughts,
Yeah.
and opinions, and fear, and
Yeah.
that's where the that's where the devil gets his most work in right there, just creeping into
Yeah.
those thoughts. You know,
Absolutely.
so that's awesome.